Well, good evening, everyone. Um, I guess I asked David what he wants me to do, and he said share a little short life testimony. So I try to make it a little short if I can. But I was born and raised in Somerset County, Pennsylvania, back there, and um, we had a farm there, and as soon as we were, old enough to run, we were out on the farm helping on the farm as much as we can, playing around, do whatever children do on a farm. And I had 4 brothers and 2 sisters. Eli's the oldest one. Then I would have had a sister, one sister older than me. And then the other brothers were small or younger, and one sister is the youngest. So we had a bunch of children to play with as we were growing up, and unfortunately, sometimes as we got older, it was easier to go play than take our responsibilities and go work. But and as life went on, went to school, and unfortunately, I didn't like school. I guess that's probably probably why I am the way I am. I can't do my math. I mean, I can do my math, but I gotta have a calculator. I'm not very good at my head, trying to figure everything out. And then as we were growing up, us as boys, we thought we had to have something, to occupy us. And back in the Bible's times, like the oxen and stuff, they put the yoke on the oxen to go pull stuff around. So we got the idea we can do that to the heifers. We got heifers out and made yokes on them, and went out in the pastures and tried to pull thistles out. I think sometimes we had to pull harder than the calf did, but we got them out. And then finally that kind of come to an end. Started playing with horses and riding horses around and jumping creeks and racing with horses, just jump on their back and see how fast they can run, and see if we can stay on. Flew off a couple times, but and then in 1998, one Sunday afternoon, it got really kind of like an off color. I can't remember, was it maybe orange or yellow or something? It was really different, and which no one knew why. And then Sunday, everyone did their barn work, went in the house, and we could, I mean, us as a family, we like our popcorn, so we were sitting there eating popcorn. And back in PA, we had kerosene lanterns. I mean, we didn't have electric, so those they were about that big around. They stood maybe about that high with a glass globe on top. You put kerosene in there and light it up. We were there eating popcorn, and all once it got really windy. I mean, it never got that windy that quick, and it was pouring down rain. And that light, the fire was down on the wick, and all once it jumped clear off the wick up into the glass, and it was nothing on the wick, and then it fell back down and kept on burning. And it was a couple of different things like that. It was really strange, and we didn't know what's going on because we lived like we always called it a groundhog hole. It was a big hill the whole way around, and we were down at the bottom. That's where we had our farm, 100 acre. I can't remember. Right around 100 acre farm, milk cows, and then, well, when it was real windy and raining, it kind of sounded like a freight train going. And once it was just, I mean, it was over. It was real calm. Wind wasn't blowing or nothing. And Joe Peachy, our neighbor, actually Mark's um, uncle or whatever, yeah, he had a train horn on top of his house, and he would blow it for, say, we'd kind of have our signals and stuff. Like if he needed something, for us it would be, 3 signals, and for someone else it was 2 signals and stuff like that. So, but anyways, he just opened that valve up and let her roar. So we knew something's going on. So everyone ran over to see what's going on. Well, we were fortunate. It was a tornado that went through, but it never touched us. But it was an English guy down there. He milked a bunch of cows. He took a load of manure out, came in and saw it coming, ran into the house and hollered at his wife. And his wife had knee problems and couldn't get around very fast. So he hollered at her, took off to the basement. He made it down to the bottom of the steps, and it just, he just flew over against the wall. And she started to go to the basement, and at the top of the steps, she was like, I'm gone. And she grabbed a hold of the table, and she ended up out in the pasture. So they, no phones or nothing. All the trees were down, the buildings were flat. Actually, this guy had cows hanging up in the trees and stuff, and I mean, it was a mess. So that's why he blew the horn, to get the whole community to come together, and we got them to the hospital and went out, and the whole neighborhood was destroyed. So just go out and see what you can help everyone else do. And then Monday we kind of, went around and helped clean up and stuff. And it was a house that the barn was flat, but the house roof was off, flew off, but the rest of the house was there. So we started building the house Tuesday morning again, so the water doesn't get down in. But Tuesday night we had, I can't even remember, was it 2 or 3 more tornadoes that went through? And by that time, people were getting scared. They were saying, it's no use to build right away because we're going to have tornadoes every other day, and stuff like that. But it was still, you trust in God and you do what you go about your life and trust in God. But after that, we continued building, and we had a lot of people coming in from all over. But that tornado, it just like something like that happens. We don't know why, but God has a reason, a purpose for it. The guy that his wife was out in the yard, he was a guy, he hated God. Everyone was there to take advantage of him. He was a miserable guy. You couldn't do nothing with him. But after the tornado went through, he went up to Joe's because he needed help. And then when they started building the buildings back up, he was like, "Nah, can't help me. Everyone's here just to take advantage of me." So it was like, okay, whatever. Kept building other people's stuff, and he kept watching it. And finally, he was like, these guys are here to help. They're not going to take the advantage. So he came up and finally accepted help. And yeah, he was still, a non church going person. He still had a lot of ways to himself that wasn't nice, but yeah, he really changed. He after that he accepted the people for who they were, and he realized we're not there to take advantage of them. And I don't know, some of you might know Floyd and Molly out in Montana. And they were going up the road. This is just how God works. But they were going up the road with a horse and buggy. And once it got really windy, they had pine trees around them. The pine needles were flying in the buggy. And it got really windy. They were like, what's going to happen, And God snapped off a little limb, and between the buggy spokes, the limb came in one wheel in behind the buggy and went into the other wheel, went up against the buggy and stalled the horse. And the trees came down the front and down the back, and they were right in the center, safe, never scratched, never nothing. So God works in mysterious ways. And then in his life went on in 2000. In 2002, I got baptized in church, and I guess I got baptized in church, but as some of you know how it is to be on mission stuff, it was still something there that was missing. It was just, that's just kind of the way it felt, But at those times, you just kind of go on and make the best of it and ask God to help you through it. And then in 2005, we got married. And then 2006, we were blessed with a little baby named Jennifer. And then in 2009, we were blessed with another baby called Brian Daniel. And then in 2012, we're blessed with a baby, Brenda. And then February 24 of 2012, which Brenda was just 2.5 years old. No, not years old, weeks. Yeah, she was just a week or a couple weeks old. And then I guess I'll just read it. Kind of wrote it down because I couldn't remember everything. February 24 of 2012, when Brian was 2.5 years old, he became very sick. When we took him to his family doctor, and she said she would transfer him to Greenville Hospital to have him checked out more. The doctor sent him home telling us there is nothing wrong with him. And then after that, I told my wife I wouldn't even recommend to send dead hogs over there because he was sick and they just sent him home. But I don't know why they did that. But never did any tests he was supposed to do. No, they didn't do any tests that they were supposed to do. The family doctor sent us up there and supposed to do tests and stuff, and they refused to do it. By that night, he had a very high fever, which we could not control. So I took him in again. So by now, it was a different doctor. They transferred him to Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh to the ICU. He was taken by ambulance as the weather was too bad to take him in life flight. I mean, by that time he was really bad. They were gonna life flight him, but they checked the flight or whatever, and they said it was storming pretty bad. They didn't want to go up in the air with. In Pittsburgh, they sedated him and put him on oxygen. He was treated for pneumonia and MRSA, a kind of staph infection. He had gotten it into his lungs. He was sedated enough. He never responded to us after that. Saturday, he had his surgery where they put him on a ECMO machine to purify his blood. While on that machine and his blood being purified, he seemed to be stable for a few hours. Then early Sunday morning, the doctors told us he had a lot of fluid and inflammation in his lungs and stomach. So the next step was to put a tube into his heart for a better blood flow. The countdown ribs. The countdown 5 ribs and inserted those tubes, and they did receive a better blood flow. His white blood cells were low, so they did a bone bone marrow to see if he had cancer. Those tests were shown clear. Monday morning, they did surgery so they could remove fluid from his body, taking 12 ounces that day. Tuesday, they took 15 ounces of fluid off. He was on three different blood pressure medications because of low blood pressure. Wednesday they could remove the strongest blood pressure medicine. Thursday morning they could remove all his blood pressure medication. Today was the first time in 5 days they could feel pulse in his feet. Friday was the day they turned down the ECMO machine to see if his heart and lungs were strong enough to do their own work. His kidneys still needed to improve. The beginning of the second week, Brian's white blood cells began to improve. Then Wednesday, Brian's heart was not stable anymore. It seemed he was just not doing well. By Saturday night, the doctors told us there's not much hope for him fully recovering. 90% of his lungs were scar tissue and his kidneys were not working. So we had to make a decision. If could remove the life support or force him to live where he would have had to lay around with tubes fastened to him. They told us he would never know what is going on in life, never be able to run and play like other children can. He peacefully passed. He peacefully passed away March 14, 2012. That was a hard decision. I guess a decision was made. God made the decision. he just wanted to, I guess, see how we accepted or whatever. I don't know. And when he passed away, my wife and I were sitting there holding him. It was like the last things we could do for him here on the earth. Um, which it was hard, but in another way, it was kind of like we were sitting there holding him, and when it was over, it was just like, you know, we have the body here, but the rest, it was gone. And then we asked the doctors um, what they think would have caused it, and I mean, they said they don't have any idea. It was MRSA into his lungs. I mean, they told us they usually get it through scratches and open wounds, but he didn't have any, so I don't know. I mean, we all know little children are a blessing, but they're an angel from God, and we have no idea when he wants to take him back. And I guess 2.5 years, he thought he wants him back up there to be with him. Jennifer was the age of 5. The age of 5, it was kind of hard. A very tender age to lose a special brother. That was not easy for her to understand. Both of them were very close. What one played with, they both played with. I mean, it was kind of strange. I'm not saying they never argued or nothing, which they did. But for little children, if you, after that, if you look back, um, and I'm not saying this because it was our son, not at all. We had nothing to do with it. It was God that did everything. But us here on the earth, looking back now, he just had ways at himself that since he died, we look back and it wasn't really like, I don't want to say a normal kid. He for his age, he was like really grown up or whatever you would say. I don't know. I mean, it was just different. But I guess it's good for us to look back and have memories now. Brenda was only 6 weeks old. Thankfully, God blessed us with her being healthy and happy baby. We as a family stayed at the Ronald McDonald down there. They had a place down there. Um, we just stayed down there because it would have been quite a hassle to get a taxi to run back and forth all the time from Pittsburgh to back home. So we just stayed down there the whole time. We were at the hospital for 2.5 weeks, never leaving in those weeks. We made a couple friends and still kept in touch with them. And I guess in hard times like that, God still wants us to have friends, make new friends, reach out. Um, it it was people down there that they had loved ones in there in the rooms. Sometimes through the night they would come in, um, and yeah, it wasn't very nice, but we felt really blessed. Um, we were down there, and we had one, two. The one family was down there for quite a while. The other one was down there. No, both of them were down there for quite a while, and made new friends down there, and they all recognize that it has a God. So us being down there all that time, it kind of felt a little bit more like a connection there, that you got someone else there that talks about God and goes to church, praise God and stuff. And the others both, the families, one had a tube in his brain or something was wrong with his brain, and they were able to fix that. He's out, he's gone again. And they as a matter of fact, they left before we did. But after they whenever they left, they told us, to stay in contact. We every once in a while we came together again just to chat and relate to one another. And then here's a verse I would like to share. It's in the NLT version, Matthew 19:14. But Jesus said, "Let the children that let the little children come to me. Don't stop them from the kingdom of heaven belongs to those who are like children. And with that, up here when they told us that we could just kind of like force him on, I mean, it was a hard decision, but her dad was down there, her parents came down there then. I called my parents in Illinois, and yeah, they all came in. We prayed about it, um, asked God to kind of, guide us in the direction He wants us to go. And then with that verse there, you know, if we would have just forced him on to live, yeah, we could have kept him here, but in, I don't know, in one way to look at it, if we just force someone on like that, and God makes it obvious He has another plan, I think we're kind of working against Him. I kind of look at it that way, I guess. So we had the privilege of having him for 2.5 years, and I guess He wanted him back. He had another mission for him. And then I got another poem here. A beautiful flower, too precious to stay. A beautiful flower, too precious to stay. God in His mercy called him away. Not from our memories, not from our love, but to be an angel in heaven above. And unfortunately, when this happened, um, at the time, I mean, we knew um, the reason, God gave us that little angel, gives us the children, little angels, and He takes them whenever He wants to. We realized that, but being our only son, um, unfortunately, it kind of, as the time went on, it kind of, I don't know, I guess we would say it kind of made me bitter or whatever. But with God's help, we worked through it, and it was somewhat better. And I guess that's another reason why we wanted to go somewhere else in another church, you know. We thought maybe we could get some more, you know, understand stuff better, you know, look at it a little different, whatever. And one of the first times, I think it was, I can't remember which, one of the first times John Kurtz kind of came over, stuff like that, and it just kind of brought it out. I don't know. I thought it brought it out. I was able to recognize it better or whatever, you know. After that, it just kind of, you know, it was a little easier to accept it. And to this day, I don't think it's one day that goes past that I don't think about it. But at least now, it's a hole in the family here on the earth. But he was a young little boy. I mean, it's obvious he's in heaven. So we know he's in a better place than we are. And for the longest time, I kind of, it kind of sounds a little selfish maybe, but I wanted him back in the worst way. But now I can look back, and yeah, if he would be here, I'd be 100% fine with that. I'd love that. But God took him home. He had something else for him to do. But as of now, like I said, I would love to have him here if he would be here, but I don't wish him to come back in this corrupt world the way everything is going now. I mean, he's in a much better place. So I'm glad for that. There was a lot of tough times there, but God did it for a reason, and I guess I still don't. We don't know what the we can think about some reasons, you know. Maybe he wanted to strengthen our faith or something like that, and that's why he did it. But to this day, I like I said, I still think about it, but I still feel good that he's in a safe place, and I just wish everyone here could go up and meet him someday. That's where we all want to try to go up to heaven. So I guess that's all I have for now. So just closing prayer. Lord, as we come before you tonight, we just thank you for this nice day that you gave us and opportunity to come over and lift these prayer requests up to you. And this life testimony that you were able to take this to you and show us who you are. You give and you take, that we could recognize that. And I just pray that everyone here, you would bless everyone here in a special way for coming out here tonight for the prayer meeting, and just ask that you would protect everyone as they go home tonight and the rest of the week. be with them throughout the week. That we can have a shiny light that the world around us can see, that we are serving you. We just pray this in your name. Amen.